Aloha and welcome to Mystic Wisdom Dialogues. Broadcasting from the largest ocean in the world, right in the middle, the beautiful island of Kauai. And today we are celebrating summer, the arrival of summer. Yay! I'm Wayne Kealohi Powell, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. So, my apologies for not showing up on YouTube as planned, but I'm not technically trained on how to put that together. And my assistant went to a soccer game with her son.
Yeah, that's also important.
Oh, yeah. Family has to come first. That's a very Hawaiian concept. So, gosh, I never really plan what to say in these Sundays because it always comes out the way it should. So what's on your heart and your mind today, Edzard? Maybe you can give me something juicy to gnaw on for everybody.
Mm, something juicy. Well, maybe you can have a bit of a discussion about um, spirituality versus science.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
there's a big um, discrepancy between religion and science.
Well, see, that's a third category
Um,
right there. That's
yes, so I'm interested. I mean, um, what how do we split being religious and being spiritual, and how what is the spiritual view on science? And that it's sort of a blurred line, isn't it?
sure. Well, it depends, I mean, everything, as you know, is a perception from a perspective of an individual small mind that we each have, right? And the quandary is always, to make things complex so they're entertaining to figure them out.
Mm.
Whereas when you demystify the entertainment factor of trying to figure out the difference between religion, spirituality, and science, it all boils down to just one thing for me, which is something I practice every day with myself and others, is where's the love? It's just so simple. Because when we find the answer to that, where is the love? Where's the love flowing? How can I be in that flow more? Then all of a sudden there's a joy that I didn't have before. Making things intellectual. And it's funny though, because this book, this Course in Miracles book, this is the latest edition with all the annotated notes of Helen Schuckman and her partner. And their relationship and how Jesus is discussing that with them. It's extremely intellectual. I mean, they talk about Freud all throughout the book and how close he was to, exemplifying, bringing forth what is truth. So I hear you. Things can get extremely complicated in regards to the mind trying to understand them. And so, from my point of view, in answer to your question, um, the the roots of religion, that's talking about underneath the surface of every religion. So, what happens when a religion becomes above the surface? Then there is dogma and doctrine, do's and don'ts. And if and there's all these ultimatums, in order for you to achieve or earn your status in heaven or whatever, right? Or in their church. Yeah. So that's above the ground. But below the ground, what originally began as a revelation, someone had a connection with God that was beyond description. And it was so impactful on them, they created a religion. And looking around and seeing that people could not really have that revelation they had, they would create doctrine and dogma to guide them toward that revelation, that connection, that reunion with God. So to me, that's the whole purpose and the whole orchestration of religion. And so what happened with religion, from my projection and limited point of view, is that the ego got involved in creating the doctrine and the dogma and realized that they could control people with guilt, and how easy it was to control people with guilt and shame. Preaching things like you're born in sin, um, you can't go to heaven without doing this and that and this and that. You you have to recite these mantras 108 times in order to be clean. It just goes on and on and on and on. And there's nothing wrong with any of this, because in a sense, it guides those who are searchers, seekers for more truth into a new level of understanding that they didn't have before. So when you look at it that way, every religion, every spiritual path, every science, it has the meaning that we give it for the purpose of liberating ourselves in some way, even if it's just a mental liberation from a binding that is holding us to some form of suffering. But it goes so much deeper than that. So when people come through religion, which I did, and so many have, and they move into spirituality, which I did, and so many have, we let go of the doctrine and the dogma. That's like, for me, the next level of getting closer to what the truth is about. And we're talking about a truth that can't be spoken, it can't be thought, it can't be shared. The only thing that gets us closer to experiencing the truth, which is a revelation, is the sharing of love, of divine love. Not human love, but divine love. Love that goes beyond all boundaries of what the human mind can confine it as, right? In other words, we call it unconditional. Yet, um, this is what we're all seeking in all of our seeking, even in religion, spirituality. We're wanting to be closer to God. We're wanting to return, is the word, to the communion that we began with our Creator when we were given a soul, when our soul, came into being and started um, the all of the journeys into human form to try and find our way back to that union, that come union. I mean, there's the word right there. Then you have come unity, right? There are all these groups and circles that are celebrating the coming together of, hopefully, this idea of limitless love, light, and gratitude. So, how does science play into this? Oh, perfectly. Because science has always been out to prove there is or there isn't a God. With calculations, with experiments, right? And what's beautiful about that is that when science comes upon a piece that it doesn't understand, but it looks like a miracle. For instance, when they can take two things apart physically, far, far apart, and affect one of the pieces, the other one is affected. And so they think like, okay, well, this is magic. But all it is really is a testimony for unity, that the one spirit cannot be separated. And so this is the foundation of the new revelations, is that, and even the young people are coming in with a lot of this knowledge. I'm finding, having chats with them while I'm driving them in Uber. It's amazing how enlightened the people in their 20s are, even though, you know, in a body they're not so mature, but their soul is so mature. It's just, it's mind-blowing to me. But it also testifies to the fact that the human condition is evolving. The more and more people are wanting free from suffering. And more people are turning to science through spirituality to find out how. And that's why I call what I teach forgiveness technology. Because technology is the science of what works. And it's always evolving, depending on how much we can handle from time to time. How far can we expand our limited ways of thinking to envelop the infinite mind, the one mind that this whole dream is happening in, called life. And this is the downside of people subscribing to a religion strictly, or a spiritual path strictly, or to science strictly, is that it separates. It doesn't unify. So this is why I have been in training to address all of my beliefs, and monitor all of my thoughts, because I personally am reaching for that aspect of unconditional love that is flowing like a river through me and everyone else and through life, and to experience that on a moment to moment basis, regardless of the negative thoughts that tend to nag from time to time. And it's, you know, some would call it a discipline, but I don't like that word. I never did like that word. It seemed way too confining, that I have to do something in order to have something happen. And yet, it's relatively true. I'm finding myself studying every single morning as soon as I awake, every night before going to bed. But I wouldn't call it discipline. I would call it, what would I call it? I would call it a curriculum in managing life, in managing thoughts, in managing feelings, in getting closer and closer to the ideas that I'm sharing with everyone, which are, this world is quite temporary. I mean, that's a fact. There's some science for us. We all know that. But we give it so much meaning to, and power over us and our thinking. And that's the scary part. So, what I'm reaching for in my practices and studies is more of a connection with what is not temporary. Yeah, breathe that in, because every breath is a gift to realize ourselves as light, as electricity in a body, as love, that was given to us to be love, to be a body, to have this experience, and to transcend human suffering and return ourselves to the joyous wonder, like a child, of what's going on here in the world, regardless of how it looks. Call it what you like. To me, that combines all three systems. It's like what's interesting is the word church, for example, is not a building. It's a gathering of folks that believe in the same way. Yeah. And you notice how every teacher, every spiritual teacher nowadays has their own following, people that can resonate with what they say. So I am finding so much joy in letting go of all the guilt and shame that's been buried under the carpet of my life in the past. And how is that done? Through daily practice of realizing myself as the co-creator, as the child, as the son of creator, who has given me, everything that we could possibly need for life itself and for creating exactly what our heart desires. And that's why there's so many manifestation courses today you'll find on every channel. And that proves to me too, again, Edzard, that people are owning the fact that we are creators. So the question becomes, what are we creating? And that has to come home to the fact of what is in our mind. No one is exempt from the nag of negative thinking. That's the ego constantly tugging on us to for attention, basically. It wants to keep us small. It wants to keep us shameful, feeling guilty. It wants to blame everyone for the way we feel. I mean, there's just human tendencies. There's nothing wrong with them. Just the way it is. But can we parent that? Can we embrace and hold all of that humanness in compassion for ourselves and for everyone else who's experiencing it? Because it's not fun. It doesn't feel good. So the idea that comes forward in this course is that this dream that we're all having called life here on earth is not life itself. It's just life here on earth. Because life itself has no boundaries whatsoever, physically, mentally, spiritually. No boundaries. And in that revelation, we can experience so much joy, so much innocence, so much of the current moment, so pure in its own way that we are dancing, singing in the streets, naked in the rain. I mean, there's nothing to hold us back from actually experiencing what's God's will is for us, which is perfect joy, perfect peace, perfect happiness. That's it. Now the heart hears that through the mind. The heart can hear that and know that it's true. But then the mind immediately scrabbles for but. What about?
Yeah, the mind looks at the technicality of things.
And that's how it brings us down. It's almost like a balloon that the mind just keeps pulling on its tail. No, you can't transcend. Because if you transcend, I won't have a life, the ego says. It's true. And it's not that the death of the ego is what we're after, because once again, it's part of the human existence, an integral part of the human existence. It's it's actually relieving it from its command and control over our actions, thoughts, words, and deeds. That's what it is. Relieving it from that responsibility. Yeah. And that is a huge liberation that once again brings such pure innocence and unconditional love back to us. I mean, it brings tears. It's so overwhelming how much we are loved. And when you think about it, I mean, people who take medicines like, microdosing mushrooms and stuff, they touch on everything that I'm saying. It releases that endorphin that removes the veil for the time that they are feeling the medicine in their mind. And yeah, they get a glimpse of behind the curtain. So in my view, my projection is that we come back again and again and again to remove more and more layers of the illusion of this very intense, sensuous dream that we're all having here on earth, and see and become one with the source of it all. Boom! There it is. There it is. Guilt, shame, blame gone. And everyone will wonder what happened to you. Because everyone is carrying all those human tendencies. It's just the nature of us. I know I am. I'm certainly not arrived at the full liberation point. There's been a lot of trauma and drama in my life, a lot of things that I regret doing and saying, and choices that I've made, people that I've hurt. I mean, this is a human condition. And yet today, right now, here in this moment, I feel so much joy and so much light being in a body. I feel so free from all of those things I just mentioned. And it's not because I'm ignoring them. It's because I transcend the idea that they are me. They're a part of a human experience. They're not me. So the word you in this course in miracles, it refers to the part of you that is real, permanent, infinite, immortal, everlasting, love, joy, and peace, having a human experience. And that's who we are. And God bless us all, finding our way home. Notice how the word Om is right in the middle of home.
Mm.
It's like in the Hawaiian language, the word Ha is in the middle of Mahalo, which is thank you to Creator. Mahalo. It's in the middle of the word Ohana, which is family, unity. Ohana. It's the breath of God. Ah. And then we have Aloha, sharing the unity, the breath of God. Yeah. So when we look under the surface of all of those systems, religion, spirituality, and science, when we look under the surface, under the physicality of what the mind can perceive, they're all from the same source. They all have the same root, which is to bring us home, to guide us home. But when that system comes above the surface with dogma and doctrine and complex intellectual gaga, it's distracting to us to find our way. And I think that's why so many young people don't want to identify with any system. They really don't. They don't want to identify with being a male or a female or getting married or any religious or scientific concept. They really want to explore in a very pure way this experience of life and not be ridiculed or judged by their choices. Simple. And any parent who's got a teenager right now, they'll testify for what I just said.
Mm.
Because part of the volition of coming into your sexual energy is to let go of parental control, to let go of parental belief systems, yeah, and explore life on its own terms. And I don't seem to have ever come away from that volition in my life. And I think many of us still have that teenager inside that would like to rebel against, oh, this is the way.
Mm.
But it's interestingly enough, when you take the Aramaic word of what Jesus called his teaching and you translate it purely into English, the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there have been so many translations of of what he was teaching. The Bible not being my favorite, although it's filled with all kinds of hidden truths. Uh, I'll I'll grant it that. But a couple of things that were said in the Bible and carried forth by various religions are: one, I'll be with you always. So when I see a Christian walking down the street with a giant sign that said Jesus is coming back, I roll down the window and scream, he never left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then see, what was the other thing? Um, oh yeah, I will return as a thief in the night is another thing the Bible says that he said, right? So how could they have this idea that he's just going to show up physically? See, my projection from what I'm hearing from the young people is his teachings are incarnating all over the world in every culture, in every human being that chooses a body. Because in the principle of unity, this coming home principle is evolving, and that's what this earth is for. And that's one reason it is so intense to directly impact our soul's evolution. The more intensity, the more impactful. But see, that's how the ego would use that, is that it keeps us in such a limited idea of what's happening here because of the intensity. That's how it has a hold on us. Because when people hear these concepts, well, what about, the child trafficking? What about the war in Gaza? What about, what's happening in Europe and all this stuff, right? And so the intensity is like gravity for the ego, to hold on to um, this is reality, when nothing could be further from the truth. When you look in our history, you know, those things, the only reason those things impact us is because we hold on to them. It's not because they're still here or real.
Mm.
So the same thing is happening in our lives. We hold on to, various imprints, I call them, very intense imprints, experiences we've had with ourselves and others. And we identify with them as being us. And that doesn't really work because, once again, the word you are not the experience. You had the experience. You are not the feelings. You had the feelings. You are not your emotions. You are having the experience of emotions. You are a child of Creator, of God, who is born into this world to shine your light without guilt, without shame, with conviction that you know who you are as love in a body and how that can be shared so beautifully, even through the human programs that look dysfunctional, as well as just purely from your heart, regardless of what others think about you. So let's breathe that in. In fact, let's have a meditation. Let's go vertical now. Close your eyes, open your crown center, and imagine there's a golden white light just above you, pouring down as you inhale into your body, into your heart. Take a couple of deep breaths and let this energy just flow from infinity into your crown chakra, through your mind, into your heart. And as you exhale it into your whole body, gift it to all the cells in your body. Inhaling golden white, pure, creative light. And let's cleanse the mind first, pouring this light into your mind, letting go of all concepts, all beliefs, all limitations of thinking provide for us. Take a few deep breaths, pouring this light into your mind, your small mind, connecting it as it pushes out the boundaries to the large one mind of God. Shining like the sun on the top of your shoulders. The ray of sun that you are, shining back as the sun. Feel this illumination radiate from your mind to all creation. In gratitude for the experience of life. And now let's expand as we breathe more light in. Have the light shower down over your shoulders and like flames melting violet flames melting all through your body, slowly going down further from your shoulders to your heart, your arms and your elbows and your belly. Each breath, more and more light, purifying on a cellular, conscious level. The entire upper torso, with your mind still glowing, and now the whole upper torso is glowing as well. And now let's move it down, have it melt down, violet flames blazing through your hips and melting slowly down through all your organs, digestive, intestinal, sexual. Breathing light into this whole area, solar plex. Breathing light into your genitals. And now let the violet flames roll down even further, all the way to your knees and down to your ankles and enveloping your feet as well. And feel your whole body as you take a few deep breaths of this light. Feel it beginning to tingle as it radiates, creative sparklets of pure golden white light, tinges of violet flame for cleansing. Now visualize your whole body standing inside a sun, your own Merkaba, your own spaceship of golden white light, framed with violets all around it. Feel your connection as you breathe light to infinity. To all of creation, you are one with. Remember when I say the word you, I'm speaking of the part of you that is eternal, the part of you that never left heaven, even though it's having a very human, confining experience. It still exists in this moment, now. Feel the spiraling energy of this light. It's so creative, it's so loving, so warm, so compassionate. Put your hands on your heart, feels appropriate. And forgive yourself for all your human tendencies that distract you from being who you truly are. This always brings a smile to my heart. Feel this innocence, this union with creation, this love of our Creator, showering us with blessings every moment. All we have to do is pay attention. Keep our eyes on the prize. And that's the internal eyes now, because as soon as we open our eyes, the judgment game begins. Nothing wrong with that. Just observe. Make another choice. Father, Mother God, thank you for this amazing blessing of life. Thank you for the gift of love that we receive from you every moment, with every breath, with every touch, with every smell. Teach us how to view beyond judgment, underneath, around, and through judgment, to see the light in everything and everyone reflected back to us. Ao makua mai ka po aiola. Ho ikea mai ke ola. Great Spirit, bring forth the water of life and manifest this prayer. And so it is. Amama ua noa, lele valia kuala. I blow this prayer into infinity and know that it is done. Ke pau, done. Oh, God bless. Thank you, Azard, for showing up. I was just about to bail on the whole idea. You saved us. So I'm going to, oh my gosh. Yeah. I've got to go pick up a rider on the other side of the island soon. So I'm going to let you guys go and bless you on this Sunday and hope to see you next week with my assistant broadcasting on YouTube. Aloha and ahuiho.
Ahui ho.